Thanks for staying with us. According to the Oxford Dictionary, myth means a traditional narrative involving supernatural or imaginary persons and embodying popular ideas on the natural or social phenomenon. It could also mean a widely held but false notion, a fictitious person, thing, or idea. We have created myths about our forefathers, which are not facts, but current attitudes about customs, neighbors, etc. Historically, people wrote about or believed what it meant and not what had actually happened. The rampant growth of political myths in the 20th century is often regarded as one of the most disturbing phenomena of the modern world. It's almost impossible to tell the difference between myths and reality being fed to the Nigerian masses. What are some of the popular political myths you've been fed, and what role have you played in debunking and educating people within and outside your circle? So please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 0818-038-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WasteShow. So, Issy.
Yes, please.
Political myths. Which one? You know, the funny thing about myths, right, is somebody has to tell you for you to even believe it to then realize or eventually realize it's a myth when somebody's debunking it.
Yes.
But I think one of the reasons why we focused on featuring politics and political related matters on Monday is because there's so much smoke and mirrors when it comes to politics. So many people talk about politics. You know, we're all passionate Nigerians. We're passionate about the reality of Nigeria. But
absolutely.
We're not, what I find when I talk to people is we're not as educated, we're not as enlightened, we're not as aware. Like I say, it's like you're trying to play a game and you don't know the rules.
Exactly.
So when you start to talk to people, and the more that they've engaged people, you start to realize that a lot of the things that you've believed as almost sacrosanct are really not true. So I remember sort of having a conversation and saying, oh, you don't have to be a Lagosian. So I mean, I'm not a Lagosian, but I was born in Lagos and all of that. So I class myself as a Lagosian.
Absolutely.
So I think to myself, oh, if I wanted to run for office in Lagos, is it possible? And it seemed like it wasn't. And then somebody said, actually, no, there's nothing that stops you from running in Lagos.
Absolutely. So I was going to say
that in itself is
a myth
that I've believed for so long. So what's the number one political myth that you've believed, and has it been debunked, or are you still believing?
Oh, Jesus, has anyone been debunked yet? Yes, I think the concept that politics is a dirty game. Yes, it has been debunked in the context that, you know, it's not about it being a dirty game. It's all about it being a game of relationships.
Okay.
So how well do we understand the relationships we have with electorate? How well does the politician understand the relationship he or she has with the electorate? What's the relationship between the legislature and governance? All of these are things that we have thought, oh, if you do not have a godfather, if you do not have some sort of thug, you will not be able to, ascend a particular level in politics, which I think is wrong.
So you think that that's a myth?
It is a myth. Another thing I think is a myth is the concept of the fact that I think our guest is also going to talk about it, that you can't actually contest for election without you having a huge sum of amount, basically.
Huge sum of money behind you.
So you need to have some sort of, humongous
backing financial funding.
Yes, humongous backing from someone who has the funds to back you up, basically. So I think that is a myth in the context that you can actually contest without you spending so much.
Wow.
And in some cases, win.
I think that some things, definitely will be debunked for me, because I think that finances is a huge part of running for office, and I think I'd be interested to hear how you can do it without having that huge funding. But when I hear you say that, I think that those are some of the things that also led to the whole not too young to run, and that whole bill being passed, and the fact that young people just need to get more involved, and the idea is that knowledge is power, right? So if you're going to do this, you need to understand how you can do it and what we need to do. So it'll be an interesting conversation for us to bring in our guest. I think we're going to bring in our guest. And he'll be joining us shortly. Kunle Lawal is an entrepreneur, idea generator, TEDx speaker, and patriot. He has a keen eye for opportunities based on his experience in politics, working with non-governmental organizations and the federal government. He currently serves as the executive director of the Electoral College, Nigeria, and the country lead for Word Chat. He was once an acting national publicity secretary of Cover Party, Alliance for New Nigeria senatorial candidate of 2019, and has since transitioned to a non-partisan influential player in politics and electoral matters in Nigeria. So I think we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, Kunle will join us. Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining in, if you're just tuning in, Kunle Lawal joins us to discuss the myths and realities of politics. Thank you for joining us, Kunle.
It's great to be here.
So, I think I'll start with, in your opinion, what is the number one myth that has been sold about Nigerian politics to the people of Nigeria?
There are a lot of number ones. Okay, top one. I think the number one bestseller is political parties don't have an ideology or a constitution. And I think that is even very common, a common saying also among people within the developmental space, and also very high influential activists online. And it's been sold to Nigerian people, and because we also don't bother to pay attention, it seems to be the bestseller.
But when we say that, so myths essentially are selling something. They're selling you something that is false, that you're supposed to believe in. Ideology for me is a new concept. So imagine I'm complete novice to politics, which most people typically are. Why is it important? So I won't talk about what I found out, but how important is the context of ideology? Because for things to become myth, there really needs to be something, some interest or something behind it that gives it life, that allows it to grow and propagate and eventually acquire that status. So what is it about ideology and political parties that has given it that status?
I think when you look at the big picture, you'd get this clearly. And I think the point is that the status quo of our political landscape is quite poor. Now, there are many reasons for this. One, the poor political literacy level of the electorate, to the politicians ensuring they play their own game, and a lot of other hoaxes. But I think because people can't explain what they don't understand, they kind of give a holistic position, just like the fox and the sour grapes. It doesn't matter anyway. But I'll try to explain something so that it doesn't sound complicated. Now, every political party has a constitution. From that constitution emanates the ideology of the political party. Now, what we have not seen is maybe a candidate in a political party that promises you X, Y, Z, and he gets into office, and then he forgets about the people and does what he wants to do.
That's what we see.
And I necessarily would say that's what happens. But that happens, and then in the end, you say there's probably no ideology. I'll give a basis of maybe some top 4 parties. So the SDP is believes in an agrarian economy. Most of their solutions to Nigeria's problem lie within the agrarian system, and they believe that can drive other systems. The PDP is capitalist in nature. That's like they believe in free flow of the economy, public enterprises being given to the private sector to handle. They believe more in a hands-off governance approach. The ruling incumbent party, the APC, is more like, you will say, socialist communist. So they kind of
weird combo, socialist and communist. Okay.
To me, I think they're just all pure communist.
Please don't put me in trouble with that. They have this direction that the state should be more involved in farming, that's in agriculture, in health, in transport, just to provide that governance. It's not bad if it's managed properly. Yeah. You have the situations in China, in Russia. But I would also say this as a politician, maybe because I've also had the opportunity of sitting down within political party hierarchy and running for office. I would say, and let me break this down so that it's simple. I don't want to speak English. So if you hustle your campaign money, you hustle paying the party, buying delegates, getting things done. When I enter the office, I should do what the party tells me to do. Are they okay? so you see that disconnect that we have. Yeah. And you wouldn't blame candidates, because I've sat down in that position and I kind of understand the way
where they're coming from.
It comes from, where it comes from. So it's kind of hard, and this now will come down to the little basis that even as a political party, our political parties do not do enough. And if you want to ask why, they're only interested in pay time, which is election time. And I'll tell you that the average, our top 4 or 5 political parties raise as much as 5 billion naira just from campaign forms alone, not even membership fees. So there's no money in the house. There's a lot of money to go around. It's Christmas when it's election. So you have that, that we're more about what we can get than what we can give. In other advanced countries, you see political parties being part of helping with clubs in secondary schools, just not telling you to join the party, but trying to open up democracy to younger kids. You see them making efforts. You see them. Sometimes you see them directing traffic. They do those kind of things, and that's enough to win. But of the 18 we have presently, no comments.
Okay, so you've talked about the role of political parties, and you've also talked about the ideology of the political parties. So how do we demystify, let me use that word, demystify the context that politics is all about relationship?
Okay, there's this common myth, and let's jump into that politics is local. It's not translated well in Nigeria, because I think it was used by a politician sometime in the 70s in the US, and he meant politics is local. And what you translate from the statement is that politics is actually personal, which means politics is between me and you. But our Nigerian translation, we've related it to stomach infrastructure, actions within the system, which always means the so-called grassroots, who am yet to be defeated in the argument, who are more politically literate than we here, not we here in the studio, but generally the average middle class in Nigeria, don't know what they're doing. And you get to ask yourself a few questions, because you look at it and say, okay, this is politics, it is bad. The truth is, I'll even tell you that politicians sitting in office sell you that idea so that the game remains, the game is not to be sold. The game is forever rigged in their favor.
To be what?
The game is never to be sold. It's or to be told. So they don't sell out the game, and they don't tell you how it works.
Is that why there is lack of transparency?
There is no transparency in politics anywhere in the world. Anytime there's a quest for power, there's no transparency. I think we Nigerians kind of think politics is we have funny ideas of how it should be played. No, it's not played that way. The thing is, yes, politics is supposed to, it's a chess game, and depending on who is playing.
Yeah, but so when you say it's a chess game, so I like that angle, but who are the players on the board? You have the pawns, you have the who are the players? Because I agree totally that politics is a game. And I always say that it is the lack of the understanding of the strategy of the different players and how they interact on the board. That's how we, the populace, get into trouble. Because we don't know who we are on the board and how we fit in.
No, we are the pawns.
No. Let's not even say that.
No. You know what? You know why I would agree with her, with her position that we're the pawns. It's because if you understand the chess game itself, a pawn can always become any other official by reaching the end of the line.
Yeah.
Which means clearly in politics, yes, it's possible. It can be anyone. But I think what's mostly lacking is that we rarely understand it. And I think this comes from, I don't know, a mentality that this is how it is. You grow up in that, you think about that, and it becomes you. It's not necessarily true. Like while listening before I came in, I heard you say something about you've been in Lagos all your life, but you can't run. There's a myth that you can't run for office. There's no law in Nigeria that doesn't that says that.
Yeah.
And well, I would say I'm living proof that that's not true. Also, I ran for Senate.
Well,
I ran for Senate in Abuja. Come on.
Well, so Abuja technically doesn't count.
Abuja doesn't count. It's part of Nigeria.
It's part of Nigeria, but you know what I mean. So but I want to actually jump into what you were saying there, because there's another myth. I don't know if I would quite call it a myth, but it's starting to gather steam and momentum, you know. So this idea of go get your PVC, go get your PVC.
I was going to go there.
You know, because I don't know if it's quite a myth, but every time I hear it, I understand that the sentiment is right. But again, for me, I'm like, aren't you missing the wood for the trees?
Do you want us to break this table?
Well, so no, because why I would like you to break it down. Because, so when I say it from the perspective of a novice who has just looked at it and said, look, what does my PVC allow me to do? It allows me to make a choice.
Does it really count?
But the choice, no, it's not even about counting. That's not even my angle. When somebody says you're allowed to, you're given the opportunity, or you can make a choice, your choice is not infinite. Your choice is from a limited pool. And you play no part in how that pool comes to be. So is your PVC really as powerful? So I don't know about breaking the table, shaking the table, but I just like you to break it down as to which card we should be worried about. Is it the party card or the PVC?
You're going to put me in trouble.
I know. I'm just asking. I speak for the masses. I'm just
I'm going to explain something. Nigeria has never had a PVC problem. If you go from 2015, our participation in politics has dropped from 50% in 2015. That was last time we had 50% of PVC holders participating, to 28 million participating in the 2019 elections, while you had 84 million PVC, the PVCs that were given out, total PVCs given out. That leaves you with a deficit of 56 million. That is enough to topple almost any election. So to answer your question, your PVC has two uses. Everybody tells you the first one, vote.
Get it.
Second use is you can recall people in the legislature, and it's not impossible, but we'll leave it there. But the truth is, I just want to complete this thing. The truth is, what we have in Nigeria, and I think I've said this before, is we have a selection, not an election. So as long as you're not part of the primaries, you're as well back to the limited pool, which means you're selecting from the good, the
devil,
bad,
and the deep blue sea.
Yeah, whichever. I used the cowboy movie. So you have that issue, and then you look at everything, and then you ask yourself the question: why am I not powerful enough with my PVC? Democracy is built with as a concept for people that actually understand the way it works. If you don't understand the way it works, it won't work for you. So it's not that democracy is not good. It's that Nigerians have not adapted themselves to understanding. And this is a job for everyone. This is not let them vote. Anyway, we're seeing the effects of us not participating. We're seeing the effects of us not caring. We're seeing the effects of us not not participating. And it will always affect us as we've chosen to face it. So as long as we do not become part of political parties, we will not be able to dictate the kind of candidates that emerge.
So please, thank you. I like some in my mind. I'm thinking louder, please, louder for those in the back that can't hear you. So please join a party. Simple and short.
So my question goes this: political participation, basically, and we understand now that it transcends beyond the PVC, basically. So how does it transcend beyond the PVC? You being a voter, being an electorate, being somebody who is interested in voting, but you feel, oh, it might not count, basically. And if you vote, if you have your PVC and you vote, it doesn't, you are not able to, what's the word?
That's the myth. So the idea that if I vote, my vote doesn't count, so what's the point?
Can I dispel that?
that?
Okay, so I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Within the political sector, the elephant parties, they tell you another myth: you vote for a small party, it's a waste of your vote.
Yeah.
If it's a waste, then why do they try ballot box snatching and bribing for votes on election day? It means your vote counts. Yeah. And if you study the issues we've had with collation in results, collation of results with INEC, the only rigging can only occur when you didn't go to the polling unit. So let me explain. You do not carry a PVC there. Nigeria is aware that PVC exists, but you didn't come out to vote. That is when you have decided to become the Isaac of elections. You will be offered for slaughter because it is your PVC that will be used to commit or perpetrate any misnomer. This is not punching INEC's work, but this is looking at situations we've seen occur in Nigeria. So you have this situation where everybody seems to think that, our PVC, this is all it can do. It's not even going to count. It's not going to work. If it didn't matter, people will not be giving money on election day so that you sway this way. Why would they do that if they already had it figured out?
So how does it relate to governance, political participation and governance?
Okay, so we're going to separate, for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to separate the two. Politics is the vehicle to elected office. Governance is deliverance of service to the electorate. Two separate things. So politics, of course, talks about all the routes which you use to get to where you're going. And then governance, it's okay, we're in office. This is what we're like. I'll give you an example. We talk about state police. Hearty conversation. I don't want to hit that topic, but I want to point out something. We talk about governors, talk about state police. I need to go back to and mention this Executive Order 10 of 2020 by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria mandates local governments legislature to be autonomous. Governors want state police, but has anybody ever asked the question? Local governments other than them are not autonomous yet. You grant state governors that power with the existing power they already occur. This is not to say that we've not seen what they've done with local government elections that has been handed to them, that is no more conducted federally. I don't think you see another party winning apart from the party of the serving governor, or the incumbent governor, sorry.
Yes.
You want to hand them over state police without autonomy of the LG. I didn't say anything. I was just
let's not detract further into governance. Let's come back to politics. So I like when you were talking about the rigging of elections and how your absence gives your PVC. So I want to tie that into, again, I think the things that I'm focusing on, I'm not even sure if they're quite myths, but you're the expert, so you can tell me whether it is or not.
The expert,
yeah, on this table today, yes you are. But the idea for me is electronic voting. So everybody's shouting, we should, we shouldn't, and I'm thinking the American institutions, they haven't, but we say we want to, we can, we cannot. Please, does it help the rigging or not? Does it fix the problem?
I'm beginning to think you want to put me in trouble.
No, see, when you see somebody that can answer the questions that are burning for you, and I'm sure the Nigerian populace have this, because the thing about it is, right, politics is something that typically I want to stay away from.
Yeah.
But you realize, like you said, it's the vehicle
just
to
have
getting
to
the
play.
right kind of governance for the electorate.
Yeah.
So you can't ignore it, because you can't say, I'm only interested at when you get to point Z. I've got to figure out how to start from point A. So I'm asking these questions as a innocent, I just want to know bystander. So is it a solution, or is it another smoke and mirror? Thank you.
Okay, I'll put this to you and everybody that brings up this conversation. INEC has done a fine job ensuring that the continuous voter registration has gone online. How many Nigerians are registered?
Okay.
We're expecting an uproar of people registering. If you notice, a lot of people are even campaigning for people to register. What do you think will happen when they turn into election? I didn't say anything. I think you have your answer.
So all I'm going to say is, I mean, you see, the answer you give, I would have said it, you know, when you say it, then I'm like, okay, so you were thinking in the right way. Because in my mind, I used to think, if you still need security guard to use ATM, it'll be interesting. Day, I come in peace. But these are some of the questions I think that is important, because
For us to know.
education is understanding this thing, this game. One of the other, again, this is not a myth. I keep going off topic. Uti, you need to do better today. Young people and politics. It is the idea that I saw a meme the other day, and I'm not even sure, I think it might have been you that posted it, that said politicians never retire, that they just keep going till, you know.
Wait, but
So-
you know why I would like to address this? I think we've just looked at politicians as a special set of people. Let me tell you the truth, they are not. Back to, and this is no offense to them.
Yeah.
So you have people in journalism, you have people in medicine, you have people in veterinary medicine, you have dentists, you have lawyers. They remain within the system. It's just the way politics is. Politics is not any different. You know, the truth about politics is we all should be politically conscious, because whether you like it or not, if you don't engage politics, politics will engage you. It's not a choice. So it's either you choose to engage it back to a particular level and try to get things done, or nothing will happen. So what are you expecting? A politician to retire? Across the world, no politician actually retires. What happens is they stop following elected offices. In Africa, we found out that we have to carry the nation's cup up because the president cannot come down. No offense, but that's how we look at it.
So they will keep following elected office in Africa, where the young ones don't have any room to go.
No.
So-
Wait, I need to say
Before?
nobody held
Okay.
nobody held the young ones apart from the young ones.
Yes.
Okay.
I
You need to
agree
wake
with
up to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that, but we really want to
agree.
hear what you have to say. So please remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0818-038-4663, or tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1. I'm sure that our viewers have a lot to say. So let's come back to these young people.
I have a question to you.
Okay, let me before I jump into the young people, go ahead, please.
What about the concept of godfatherism? Is it a myth? Especially in Nigerian politics.
If you graduate from law school, you're going to take a mentor that's a son. If you go into medicine, you're going to take a mentor that's a consultant. The difference is a good mentor, just like any other sphere, a good mentor would lead you forward to and even want you to become better than himself.
Okay.
Over 75% of our mentors in politics do not want you to even cross where they've been to. So it's kind of like, it looks like politics is bad. You have them in all spheres of work. So I think because we've had politicians that and it's because I think why it's like that in Nigeria is because for us, our politics has monetary gain. Our senators, our legislature earns more than the U.S. senator earns like
So let me put it this way. Let me just
year.
jump in and say this there, maybe to define it. I think it's potato, right? You say mentor in the positive. She says godfather in the negative. So I think for me, the myth there, or what we're trying to dispel there is it possible to do it without a godfather? I think that's what she's trying to say.
Okay. You would always have a godfather in politics.
Okay.
You would always
So
have.
the short answer is no.
The short answer is no. But the clearer answer is who your godfathers are. So for me, while I was in politics, my godfathers were the Constitution and, of course, the next generation. If those are your godfathers, then you have your right head on and you know where you're headed. But if your godfathers are now some people that are maybe running for president and you're following them out, you are not saying it's bad, but you will always be limited to that person's ambition. And the moment you can move forward, if it affects that person's ambition, you're set back. That's why you find a lot of people that have been, I know a lot of people that have been essays from when I was an essay to a minister, and a PA to a minister, sorry. When I was a PA to a minister till now, it's like a job description. They're just changing. And it's because they never had the heart to kind of go out of their way. Yeah, they'll call Kunle crazy because he maybe went out of his own reach. But it separated me from them. I will never be lumped in that thing, and they will continue doing their PA and essay for a while.
So okay. I will, as we're running out of time, so I think the last thing I would say is a lot of young people today want to run. They are fighting for a place at the table. We understand that we're no longer waiting. It's not the youth, the children are the leaders of tomorrow. Tomorrow is today. So what is the one thing or the one final myth you can dispel that particularly relates to young people getting into governance? I think that would be a great way to close the show.
I think the first thing we need to understand in Nigeria is that good governance is no function of age or gender. That's the first thing, or tribe. So for you to want to be a young candidate and want to participate, you have to be able to bring to bear what is needed on the table. I find people wanting to run for legislative office and quoting executive stuff. What's the difference with you? I think the other day I said something, and I believe it a lot. The only difference between old and young, most of the young politicians, is that some can use Instagram Live. There's no difference. Because they don't bring anything to the table. You keep saying food, roads. Well, come on. It's 21st century.
It's stomach infrastructure. You're telling the people what they want to hear without original thoughts
the office you're running for is based on legislative bills. That's why I'll give you another. That's why a lot of us in Nigeria right now are saying the president should assent to the bill. The president should assent to the bill. Did you seem to mistakenly forget that the National Assembly has veto power over the president? And we have all gone into that WhatsApp group and followed. Usual suspects. Another myth
that has been stylishly debunked as we come to the end of the show. But I think it's been a fantastic conversation. I've learned a thing or two. I certainly hope that our viewers have. Yeah. We did not shake any tables. We did not get you into trouble. Disclaimer, because and yes, we would like to have you back on the show. So we will see you soon. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Issy. And thank you to all of you for staying with us and for watching the show. So before we go, please ensure you follow us on Instagram. Our handle is @WasteShowAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. As you see, we are committed to educating you, if nothing else, but about the game of chess called politics. So please like, please share, invite your friends and family to watch the show. And if you missed today's quote, here it is again. When truths are frozen, beliefs are born. Beliefs are not the same as truths, just like a picture of a man is not the same as the man himself. Hence, belief does not represent reality, which is complex and ever-changing like a living being. Mr. Singh has a lot to say. I think I totally agree. So see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Bye-bye.